Jack Mason peered through the viewport of Novaterra's main colony dome. The purple-tinged sky of their new homeworld looked peaceful today. He scratched behind the ears of Buddy, his golden retriever, who sat alertly at his feet. "What do you think, boy?" "Another quiet day?" Jack asked. Buddy tilted his head, his amber eyes seeming to hold more intelligence than any ordinary dog should. That wasn't surprising, given the genetic modifications that had enhanced the canine's cognitive abilities. Nothing too extreme, just enough to make Buddy exceptionally trainable and aware. The calm morning shattered as emergency sirens wailed across the colony. Jack's comm unit buzzed with an urgent message from Colony Director Karen Ellis. "All section representatives report to Command Center immediately." "This is not a drill." Jack sighed. As the civilian representative for Agricultural Section 7, he couldn't ignore the summons. "Come on, Buddy. Duty calls." They hurried through corridors suddenly buzzing with worried colonists. Jack noticed the military personnel moving with particular urgency, their faces grim. When Jack arrived at the command center, the large display screen showed what had triggered the alarm. A fleet of 7 massive ships had entered orbit around Novaterra. Their design was unmistakable. Angular, chitness-looking vessels with protruding spike-like weapons. The Varnak had arrived. "They're hailing us," announced Communications Officer Paul Weber, his voice tight. Director Ellis nodded grimly. "Put them through." The screen flickered, revealing an alien that resembled a mantis crossed with a wasp. Its compound eyes glittered with an unsettling intelligence, mandibles clicking as it regarded the humans. "I am Fleet Commander Skrull of the Varnak Dominion," the translator conveyed in a synthetic voice. "Your unauthorized colony exists on territory claimed by the Dominion. You will surrender all resources and submit to relocation." Ellis stepped forward, shoulders squared. "Commander Skrull, we were unaware of any prior claim to Novaterra. We're peaceful settlers willing to discuss shared access to this world." The alien's mandibles clicked rapidly, their equivalent of laughter, Jack recalled from briefings. "Discussion is inefficient. Compliance is mandatory." Jack felt Buddy press against his leg, a low rumble in the dog's chest. He placed a calming hand on the dog's head, noticing that Skrull's compound eyes had shifted to track the movement. "Is that a domesticated life form?" the alien commander asked, the translator unable to hide the note of curiosity. "Yes," Jack replied before thinking. "My companion." The alien's attention focused fully on Jack now. "You are?" Director Ellis intervened. "This is Jack Mason, one of our civilian representatives. Commander, perhaps we could arrange a meeting to discuss terms that might benefit both our peoples." Skrull's head tilted in an unsettlingly insect-like manner. "Very well. A demonstration of diplomatic procedure before subjugation is acceptable. I will land with a delegation in 6 hours at these coordinates." The screen displayed a location just outside the colony's perimeter. "Prepare appropriate reception protocols. No more than 10 representatives. No obvious weapons." The alien's compound eyes swiveled back to Jack and Buddy. "Bring that creature. I wish to examine it." The transmission cut abruptly. The room erupted in tense discussion as military advisors argued against the meeting. Jack stood quietly, still stroking Buddy's head. "Sir," Jack finally spoke up, "I think we should take this opportunity. The Varnak rarely offer diplomacy, and they seem interested in Buddy." Ellis looked skeptical. "They're interested in your dog. The Varnak have never encountered domestic animals before," explained Security Chief Laura Wright. "Their society is based on rigid hierarchies. The concept of cross-species companionship is alien to them." Ellis nodded slowly. "Mason, you and your dog will join the delegation. Maybe this curiosity gives us a small advantage." As the meeting disbanded, Jack knelt beside Buddy. "Looks like we're going to meet some bugs, boy. Remember your training." Buddy's intelligent eyes seemed to understand perfectly as he gave a single, determined wag of his tail. Jack stood with the small human delegation at the designated meeting point, a rocky clearing half a kilometer from the colony perimeter. Buddy sat attentively at his side, ears perked forward. The morning sky had darkened to a stormy purple as black clouds gathered. "They're right on time," muttered Laura Wright, checking her wrist display. A sleek Chidnus shuttle descended from the clouds, creating dust swirls as it landed. The vessel's surface resembled insect carapace, glossy and segmented. A ramp extended with a mechanical hiss. 6 Varnak warriors emerged first, each nearly 7 feet tall with 4 arms ending in wicked-looking claws. Their exoskeletons gleamed with a metallic blue-black sheen. They carried no visible weapons, but Jack knew from military briefings that their biology was weapon enough. Commander Skrull followed, distinguishable by elaborate markings on his thorax. He surveyed the human delegation with compound eyes that missed nothing. "Director Ellis," Skrull's translator device buzzed. "We meet on solid ground." "Commander," Ellis nodded respectfully. "We welcome the opportunity for dialogue." Skrull's attention quickly shifted to Buddy. "This is the companion creature." Jack stepped forward. "Yes, Commander. His name is Buddy. You give names to your subordinate species." Skrull clicked his mandibles. Fascinating inefficiency. The alien bent down, bringing his face close to Buddy's. The dog remained calm, though Jack could feel slight tension in the leash. This wasn't Buddy's first encounter with aliens, thanks to the specialized training they'd received. "You were military," Skrull stated abruptly, looking up at Jack. Jack tried to hide his surprise. "Yes. How did you know?" "The creature's behavior. Too disciplined for a mere pet." "You were handlers of war beasts." "K9 unit," Jack corrected. "We were partners, not handler and beast." Skrull made a dismissive sound. "Semantics. This colony has 48 of your Earth hours to prepare for evacuation. We require this world." Ellis stepped forward. "Commander, surely we can discuss coexistence. Novaterra has abundant resources." "The discussion portion has concluded," Skrull interrupted. "We observed your defenses during approach. You have 1 small military vessel in orbit and limited ground forces. Resistance would be regrettable." Jack noticed Buddy's ears twitch slightly. The dog was picking up something beyond human perception. "Commander," Jack said carefully, "may I ask why you're specifically interested in our domesticated animals?" The alien studied Jack for a moment. "Your species is unique in forming symbiotic relationships with lesser creatures. The concept is alien to us. The Varnak subjugate or consume. We do not. Partner." Laura Wright subtly moved closer to Jack. "We have our ship-running scans," she whispered. "They're registering unusual reactions from the Varnak to certain sonic frequencies." Jack processed this information while maintaining eye contact with Skrull. Years of working with Buddy in high-stress situations had taught him to converse while simultaneously planning. "Perhaps before you make your final decision," Jack suggested, "you might want to see more of what humans and their animal companions can do together." Skrull's head tilted. "Explain." "A demonstration. Tomorrow. Show you our capabilities." Ellis shot Jack a warning look, but he continued. "You're curious about us, or you wouldn't be talking at all. 1 demonstration before your deadline." The alien commander was silent for several moments, mandibles working thoughtfully. "Acceptable," he finally declared. "Tomorrow at midday, bring your war beast. Show us these capabilities. It will make no difference to the outcome, but satisfies scientific curiosity." As the Varnak delegation returned to their shuttle, Ellis turned to Jack with a mixture of anger and confusion. "What exactly are you planning, Mason?" Jack knelt beside Buddy, who was still watching the departing aliens intently. "Something they won't expect," he replied quietly. "Buddy isn't just a pet. He's specially bred with enhanced auditory projection capabilities. If the Varnak are sensitive to certain frequencies." Understanding dawned in Ellis's eyes. "You're suggesting we use your dog as a weapon?" "Not exactly," Jack said, scratching Buddy behind the ears. more like a demonstration of why humans and dogs have been partners for thousands of years. The colony buzzed with activity as everyone prepared for the demonstration. Jack spent the morning in his quarters with Buddy, going through their old training routines. Though years had passed since their military service, the dog responded perfectly to each hand signal and whispered command. "Good boy," Jack said, offering a treat. "Just like old times, huh?" A knock at the door interrupted them. Director Ellis entered, her face tight with worry. "Are you sure about this, Mason? The military advisors think this is giving the Farnak a chance to study our capabilities before they attack." Jack nodded while adjusting a small device on Buddy's collar. "Trust me, they'll see exactly what we want them to see. Nothing more." "And what is that, exactly?" Ellis asked. "Something they don't expect." Jack smiled. "Farnak see humans as weak because we form bonds instead of hierarchies. Today we show them why that's our strength, not our weakness." At midday, a small human delegation gathered at the demonstration area, a flat plain a kilometer from the colony. Jack and Buddy stood at the center, the dog sitting calmly despite the tension in the air. The Farnak shuttle arrived precisely on time. Commander Skrull emerged with 4 of his warriors. They moved with a predatory grace that reminded Jack of spiders. "We have come to witness your capabilities," Skrull announced, "though it will not change the inevitable outcome." Jack stepped forward. "Thank you for this opportunity, Commander." Skrull gestured to his warriors. "These are my elite fighters. They will serve as evaluators." The warriors spread out, forming a loose semicircle around Jack and Buddy. Their chitinous bodies gleamed in the alien sunlight, powerful and intimidating. "What is your demonstration, human?" Skrull demanded. "A simple exercise," Jack replied. "Your warriors will attempt to subdue me. Buddy and I will defend." The alien commander's mandibles clicked rapidly, their version of laughter. "You and your small beast against 4 Farnak elite. This is not demonstration. This is suicide." "Nevertheless, it's what we offer," Jack said calmly. Skrull studied them for a moment, compound eyes unreadable. "Very well. When your beast falls, we will spare your life so you may witness the futility of resistance." Jack unclipped Buddy's leash. The dog remained perfectly still, watching the aliens with intelligent eyes. "Begin when ready," Jack said. Skrull raised one clawed hand and then dropped it dramatically. "Unleash the beast, human." Jack smiled. "What a cute pup, isn't he?" The Farnak warriors charged, moving with shocking speed. Jack stood his ground and made a quick hand gesture. Buddy remained sitting, but his ears perked forward. The colonists watching held their breath. The Farnak seemed certain to overwhelm the man and dog in seconds. Just as the first warrior reached them, Jack whispered, "Sonic barrier, Buddy. Now." The dog opened his mouth, but no sound audible to human ears emerged. The effect on the Farnak was immediate and dramatic. All 4 warriors stumbled, their coordinated attack faltering as they clutched at the sides of their heads. Skrull stepped back, mandibles flaring in surprise. "What trickery is this?" Jack and Buddy moved in perfect coordination, while the dog maintained the sonic emission. Jack ducked under the first disoriented warrior's swing and used the alien's momentum to send it tumbling. Buddy darted between the legs of another, causing it to crash into its companion. The demonstration lasted less than 2 minutes. When it ended, all 4 elite Farnak warriors lay immobilized on the ground, disoriented by the precisely modulated sonic frequencies from Buddy's enhanced vocal cords. Jack stood unharmed, Buddy returning calmly to sit at his side. "Impossible," Skrull hissed. "What weapon did you use?" "No weapon," Jack replied, patting Buddy's head. "Just thousands of years of partnership and some genetic modifications. This cute pup is the result of co-evolution between our species." The commander stepped closer, studying Buddy with new respect and wariness. "This changes our assessment." "I hoped it might," Jack said. "Perhaps we should discuss those terms again." The gathered colonists began to hope, for the first time, that there might be a way forward without war. The Varnak warriors were slowly regaining their composure, mandibles clicking in what Jack recognized as agitation. Commander Skrull circled Buddy with newfound curiosity, keeping a cautious distance. "Your beast produces sound waves we cannot detect," the commander asked. "Buddy is specially bred," Jack explained, keeping one hand on the dog's back. Earth dogs already had excellent hearing. The scientists enhanced their vocal abilities too. "What you experienced was a precise frequency that disrupts Varnak neural patterns." Skrull's compound eyes gleamed with calculation. "How did you know of this vulnerability?" Director Ellis stepped forward. "We didn't, until your arrival. Our scanners detected your species' sensitivity during our meeting yesterday." The commander's posture stiffened. "Clever. The beast was scanning us while we examined it." "Not exactly," Jack said. "Buddy was just being Buddy. Our scientists analyzed the data afterward." One of the fallen warriors approached Skrull, speaking in their clicking language. The commander listened, then turned back to the humans. "My subjugation commander believes you have revealed your only defense, a strategic error." Jack smiled. "Or maybe we wanted to give you a reason to talk instead of fight." Murmurs rippled through both delegations. Jack could sense the colony representative's nervousness behind him. This was a gamble. "Speak plainly, human," Skrull demanded. "Buddy isn't our only defense," Jack replied. "He's just one dog. Earth sent 50 like him to Novaterra, each with different sonic capabilities. And that's before we talk about the colony's actual military resources." This was a bluff, but Jack maintained eye contact with the alien commander. Buddy, sensing Jack's tension, remained perfectly still beside him. Skrull stepped closer. "We detected minimal defenses during our approach." "What you were meant to detect," Ellis interjected. "Standard colonial protocol." The Varnak commander studied them silently. Jack knew these insectoid aliens respected strength above all. Their entire civilization was built on proving dominance. "A demonstration," Skrull finally said. "More substantial than this small sample. Show us these other dogs." Jack exchanged glances with Ellis. They had anticipated this request. It was the reason colony engineers had worked through the night. "Follow us," Jack said. The delegation moved toward a nearby ridge overlooking the colony's agricultural section. As they crested the hill, the humans activated their prepared demonstration. 20 regular colony dogs of various breeds appeared on the field below. To human eyes, they were simply running in patterns, responding to hidden trainers. But synchronized with their movements, hidden speakers embedded in the ground emitted targeted sonic pulses at frequencies Buddy had identified as effective. The effect on the Varnak was dramatic. Even at this distance, the warriors visibly flinched, their postures becoming defensive. "Impressive," Skrull admitted. "But a demonstration is not a battle." "True," Jack agreed. "In a real battle, the frequencies would be much stronger." "Buddy was gentle with your warriors earlier," Ellis added. "We prefer finding a peaceful solution, Commander. Novaterra has enough resources for both our peoples." Skrull watched the dogs below with new respect. The Dominion does not share worlds. "First time for everything," Jack suggested. "Or you could attack and discover what else we've learned about Varnak vulnerabilities." The commander turned to Jack. "You were not merely a handler of beasts in your military. You were a strategist." Jack shrugged. "I was a surgeon who worked with dogs. But I learned that sometimes showing your strength prevents you from having to use it." After a long silence, Skrull made a series of rapid clicks to his warriors. They responded with evident surprise. "We will extend the evacuation deadline," the commander announced. 3 of your Earth days. I must consult with the Dominion Council." As the Varnak departed, Ellis turned to Jack. "Do you think they're buying time to develop countermeasures?" "Probably," Jack admitted, scratching Buddy's ears. "But they're also genuinely reconsidering. The Varnak respect capability when they see it." Buddy wagged his tail. looking up at Jack with knowing eyes. Their partnership had just earned the colony precious time. The colony's relative calm shattered at dawn when the perimeter alarms blared. Jack jolted awake in his quarters, Buddy already alert and waiting by the door. "So much for negotiations," Jack muttered, quickly dressing in his uniform. His comm unit buzzed with an emergency signal. "Mason, get to the command center immediately," Director Ellis's voice ordered. "Bring Buddy." When they arrived, the command center was in controlled chaos. The main display showed 5 Varnac shuttles breaching the colony's airspace. "They're hitting the Eastern Agricultural Dome," Laura Wright explained, pointing to heat signatures on the tactical display. "Small raiding parties, not a full invasion." Ellis turned to Jack. "They're testing our defenses, seeing if our sonic capabilities were a bluff. Or creating a distraction," Jack suggested, studying the patterns. His military training recognized the tactic. "Where are our K-9 units?" "Deployed to defend the main dome," Wright answered. "We only have 12 handlers with special training." Jack nodded. "That's where we need Buddy and me. The Eastern Dome is a feint." Ellis hesitated only briefly before nodding. "Go. Take Squad 3 for backup." Jack and Buddy raced through the colony corridors, joining 4 soldiers at the transit hub. They piled into an electric transport vehicle heading toward the colony's central dome. "Sergeant Mason," one of the soldiers greeted him. "Heard about your demonstration yesterday. Think the dog tricks will work again?" "The Varnac aren't fools," Jack replied as the vehicle sped through the connecting tunnels. "They'll have adapted somewhat, but Buddy has more than one frequency he can use." They arrived at the central dome to find the area already being evacuated. Colony security directed civilians toward the underground shelters. Jack accessed a terminal, checking the colony's sensor grid. "There," he said, pointing to an anomalous reading near the water purification system. "They're already inside. Small group, maybe 3 warriors." Squad 3 readied their sonic disruptors, hastily modified tools that mimicked Buddy's frequency. Not as precise, but effective enough at close range. "Remember, these won't stop them completely," Jack warned. "Just disorient them long enough to contain. Buddy's our main advantage." They moved through the maintenance tunnels, Buddy leading the way. The dog's enhanced senses picked up Varnac pheromones long before humans could detect anything. Buddy suddenly stopped, hackles raised. Jack signaled the squad to halt. 2 o'clock, 20 meters, he whispered. The soldiers took positions at a junction, their disruptors ready. Jack unclipped a small device from Buddy's collar and adjusted its settings. "Ready, boy," he whispered. Buddy gave a soft whine of confirmation. A chitinous limb appeared around the corner ahead, followed by the angular head of a Varnac warrior. It wore what appeared to be auditory protection, transparent membranes covering its sensory organs. "They've adapted," Jack signaled to the squad. "Change of plan." Before he could explain, 2 more warriors appeared, moving with predatory speed toward their position. Jack pressed a button on Buddy's device. Instead of emitting the same frequency as yesterday, Buddy projected a completely different sonic pattern. The effect was immediate. Despite their protection, the Varnac warriors staggered, disoriented by the unexpected frequency. "Now," Jack shouted. Squad 3 activated their disruptors, creating a layered sonic attack. The warriors collapsed, mandibles clicking in distress. "Containment field," ordered the squad leader. One soldier deployed a portable energy barrier that surrounded the incapacitated aliens. Jack's comm unit buzzed. "Mason, we're getting similar breaches in 3 other sectors," Ellis reported. "The other K-9 units are engaging, but they're using the same frequency as yesterday." "Tell them to adjust to pattern Omega," Jack replied. "Buddy's transmitting the new frequency to the network now." Across the colony, the other enhanced dogs received the update through their collar devices. The Varnac raid faltered as their warriors encountered the unexpected defense. In the command center, Ellis watched the tactical display as red dots representing Varnac forces retreated. She opened a channel to the alien commander. "Commander Skrull," she said firmly, "your test of our defenses has failed. Perhaps now you're ready for real negotiations." The response came after a long pause. "Perhaps we are, Director Ellis. Perhaps we are." The sky above Novaterra darkened as the main Varnak warship descended through the atmosphere. Unlike the smaller shuttles, this vessel was massive, nearly a kilometer long, its chitinous exterior bristling with weapons. "They're done testing us," Laura Wright said grimly as the colony leadership watched from the command center. "This is the real attack." Director Ellis turned to Jack. "How many frequencies can Buddy and the other dogs produce?" "6 that we've confirmed affect the Varnak," Jack replied. "But they're learning fast. Their warriors are now wearing more sophisticated protection." The communication system crackled. Commander Skrull's voice filled the room. "You have impressed the Dominion with your ingenuity, humans, but the time for games has ended. Surrender the colony, and you may evacuate with your lives." Ellis looked at the grim faces around her. "Options. We've modified the colony's external speakers to broadcast the sonic frequencies," one engineer explained. "But at that power level, they'll only work for 20 minutes before burning out." Jack studied the tactical display, Buddy alert at his side. "We need to evacuate as many people as possible while holding them off. The underground bunkers won't protect everyone if they decide to bombard from orbit." The mining tunnels, Ellis realized. They lead to the eastern ridge, outside their current perimeter. Jack nodded. "Buddy and I will lead a team to the main dome. Draw their attention while you get everyone out." "That's suicide," Mason, Wright objected. "Not if we can reach the environmental control hub," Jack said. "We can flood the entire dome with concentrated sonic pulses. Even with protection, that level would incapacitate any Varnak inside." Ellis made her decision quickly. "Do it. We'll coordinate the evacuation." As Jack and Buddy headed out with a small team of soldiers, the colony's defenses engaged. The modified external speakers blasted sonic frequencies that slowed the first wave of Varnak dropships, buying precious time. They reached the central dome to find chaos. Several Varnak warriors had already breached the outer doors. Colonists fled toward the designated evacuation routes while security personnel fought a losing battle. "This way," Jack directed his team toward a maintenance passage. "It's a shortcut to the environmental hub." They were halfway there when a massive explosion rocked the dome. Part of the ceiling collapsed, separating Jack and Buddy from the rest of the team. "Continue to the hub," Jack shouted through the debris. "We'll find another way." Jack checked his tactical display. The environment hub was still accessible through the hydroponics section, but that area was now crawling with Varnak signatures. "Looks like it's just us now, Buddy," he told the dog, who looked up at him with understanding eyes. They moved cautiously through the hydroponics gardens, massive plants from Earth growing alongside native Novaterran species. The humid air carried unfamiliar scents that had Buddy on edge. They were almost through when Jack spotted a Varnak patrol ahead. 5 warriors led by none other than Commander Skrull himself. "Stay," Jack whispered to Buddy, quickly adjusting the dog's sonic device to its highest setting. But before they could move, Skrull's head swiveled in their direction. "I smell your companion beast, human. Show yourself." Jack stepped out slowly from behind the plants, Buddy at his heel. "Commander, I see you've decided to lead from the front. Unlike your leaders, who hide while others fight," Skrull replied, mandibles clicking. "Our leaders are saving our people," Jack corrected, "as I'm trying to do." The commander studied Jack and Buddy. "The sonic weapon won't work this time. We've adapted." Jack noticed the new devices covering the Varnak sensory organs, more sophisticated than before. "Maybe," Jack acknowledged. "But there's something you should know about humans and dogs. We've been partners for thousands of years. We don't just have one trick." Jack made a subtle hand signal. Buddy immediately darted forward, moving faster than the Varnak could track. The dog didn't bark or emit sonic waves. Instead, he targeted the environmental controls on the wall behind the aliens. With one powerful leap, Buddy hit the emergency override button. Instantly, the hydroponic section's sprinkler system activated, drenching everyone. The water short-circuited the Farnek protective devices. In the moment of confusion, Jack activated Buddy's collar at maximum strength. Without their protection, the Farnek warriors collapsed in agony. Only Skrull remained standing, though clearly struggling. Impressive. Adaptation, the commander managed to say. Jack smiled grimly. That's what humans do best, Commander. We adapt. Together. Jack kept his eyes locked with Skrull's compound gaze as they stood facing each other in the hydroponic section. The Farnek commander's warriors lay incapacitated around them, but Jack knew this standoff couldn't last forever. What happens now, human? Skrull asked, mandibles moving slowly. Though affected by Buddy's sonic emissions, the commander's natural resilience kept him conscious. That depends on you, Jack replied, one hand resting on Buddy's head. Your invasion failed. The colonists are evacuating as we speak. A rumble shook the dome as if to emphasize his point. Outside, the Farnek warship was still bombarding the colony's outer defenses. We can still destroy this entire settlement from orbit, Skrull pointed out. You could, Jack agreed. But what would that accomplish? You'd get an empty planet with damaged infrastructure. And you'd make enemies of humanity forever. Buddy gave a soft whine, sensing Jack's tension. The dog hadn't taken his eyes off the alien commander. The Dominion does not compromise, Skrull said, but Jack noticed uncertainty in his posture. Neither do we, when our homes are threatened. Jack took a calculated risk. But we do adapt. We find ways to coexist. It's how we survived on Earth alongside predators far more dangerous than your warriors. Jack slowly reached for his comm unit. Director Ellis, this is Mason. I'm with Commander Skrull in the hydroponics section. I think it's time for that proposal we discussed. Ellis's voice came through clearly. Commander Skrull, our scientists have been analyzing your ship's emissions. You're searching for specific mineral compounds, aren't you? The same ones found in the eastern mountains. The slight shift in Skrull's posture confirmed her guess. Those mountains are outside our colony boundaries, Ellis continued. We propose a treaty. You mine the eastern region, we maintain our settlement in the west. Shared access to the planet, separate territories. Silence hung in the air as Skrull considered this. The bombardment outside had stopped. Why would we agree when we could take everything? The commander finally asked. Jack smiled. Because it would cost you too much, and because you're curious about us, about our partnerships with other species. As if on cue, Buddy sat down calmly, his previous aggression gone. The dog's intelligent eyes studied the alien with what almost looked like interest. Your beast changes its behavior instantly at your command, Skrull observed. Not commands. Signals. Partnership. Jack knelt beside Buddy. The Farnek evolved from solitary hunters. Right. Humans came from pack animals. We survived by cooperating, not just dominating. For the first time, Skrull seemed genuinely intrigued rather than calculating. This cooperation, it gives you advantages. Different strengths, Jack agreed. Different perspectives. Buddy can hear and smell things I can't. I can reason in ways he can't. Together, we're more than either alone. The commander was silent for a long moment. Then he reached for his own communication device and spoke rapidly in the clicking Farnek language. The bombardment will cease, he announced. I have authority to negotiate preliminary terms. 3 months later, Jack stood at the newly established border between human and Farnek territories. What had once been a battlefield was now marked by a simple line of marker posts. Buddy trotted alongside him, tail wagging as they approached the meeting point. Skrull waited on the other side, accompanied by a smaller Farnek. A subadult, Jack had learned. The treaty holds, Skrull greeted him. The Dominion Council has officially recognized Novaterra as a shared world. First in history, Jack noted. Director Ellis sends her regards. The young Varnak stepped forward hesitantly, focusing on Buddy. "My offspring is curious about your companion," Sktroll explained. "Such relationships are unknown among our kind." Jack nodded to Buddy, who sat calmly. "He's friendly. You can touch him if you want." The young alien extended one clawed hand slowly. Buddy remained still as the Varnak gently touched his fur. "Soft," the young one clicked in surprise. "The beginning of cultural exchange," Skrull observed. "Perhaps there are advantages to your cooperative approach." Jack smiled as he watched the careful interaction. "That's what we've been trying to tell you. Sometimes the greatest strength isn't in domination, but in finding unexpected allies." Buddy wagged his tail, the simple gesture bridging the gap between two very different species from worlds light years apart. "What is your term for this?" Skrull asked, gesturing to Buddy and the young Varnak. "Friendship," Jack replied. "We call it friendship."